Do you want to know how you can clear all past life karma just like that immediately? Then stay tuned. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Janine. I'm a spiritual coach. I'm a manifestation coach. I am an astrologer. I am a psychic medium. And I am available for personal coachings and astrology readings as well. So please help me by liking, subscribing, hit the bell icon so you don't miss any other content, because it is my intention to help you grow, to help you ascend, and to get to the life of your dream. So right now, yeah, it's a topic that maybe many of you might not expect what I'm going to say. It may be a surprise. So yeah, how do you clear all past life karma? It is by realizing there is no past lives. Boom. I used to believe in past lives as well, and maybe you hear me talking in other videos about past lives. I do still, because it is sometimes easier to explain something. However, you may have heard that there is no time. We just experience it. It already happened. There is no time. So if there's no yesterday and no tomorrow, only the right now, and everything already is gone, or it all happens at the same time. There is no time. There is just existence. It's already, creation is finished, like many physicists believe. Then of course this would include that there's no past lives. If yesterday doesn't exist, there is no past lives. It is just something we experience. So what you can do is, when you meditate, and I have done that as well, is you connect to, let's say, past lives. What you do connect is, since there is no time, you would connect to another stream of consciousness making this specific experience. So you would connect to another soul that is still part of you, because after all, there's only one soul that is split and playing with itself and making different kind of experiences. Okay, so for example, I've heard many people say, yeah, I believe I am Marilyn Monroe reincarnated. What happens is, no, you're not. There is the stream of consciousness that is incarnated as Marilyn Monroe. And I say is, even though in our experience she is already dead, but again, there is no time. It all exists simultaneously. It's like, when you have a computer game that's already programmed, and even if you haven't played that game yet, it still existed. It exists online or on your DVD, and you get to make your choices in that. You get to build your avatar, but it's already finished. The game is already programmed. Or like the DVD or the TV, the movie on TV, it's already shot, it's finished, even though you have not experienced watching it. It's done. It's already clear, does the guy get the girl or not, or do they survive or not in that movie. It's already predestined. And that is as well when we experience it. The whole thing, it's already been created. We just play within it, and we decided to incarnate at a specific time. For me it was 1982, because this is where I chose to have my experience of, and there's a lot going on in this time. We just entered the age of Aquarius. There's a lot of twin flames meeting now. It's a very, very exciting time, and my soul, I chose to be the stream of consciousness that is experiencing exactly what I am experiencing. Okay, I chose this. And other stream of consciousness chose other situations, and some of them choose to be my friends and we collide. Others I won't ever meet, that I incarnated at the same time. So again, every person we meet is another stream of consciousness that on a higher level is us as well. The saying, everyone is you pushed out. So you are experiencing another version of yourself, what you project on that person. And the same thing happens when you meditate. For example, once I meditated, and I do resonate with the soul archetype of the wise one. I have made a video on that, and in meditation I saw myself being a shaman, druid, whatever, in all different parts of the world, all different cultures, like Siberian, Native American, like all different kind of tribes, Celtic shaman. Like I have seen myself as a shaman. I've seen like just flashes with different shaman clothing, like one, then the other, then the next, then the next, then the next, which doesn't mean that I have been those people. It's just they already are their own stream of consciousness. I just connect to them because we share a very similar frequency. So if you think like you, just as an example, you've been Marilyn Monroe in a past life, no, you were not. It's just your stream of consciousness, your energy must be somewhat similar to her, so you can, when you meditate, connect to that specific stream of consciousness and get information of what that specific stream of consciousness experienced. And you can read that because you are, through your similarity, connected to that stream of consciousness. And so you can connect to other stream of consciousness that are very similar. And when you meditate, for example, that's like a very personal meditation that I'm going to tell you now, but it's, so I saw myself, in a past life where I was married to my split twin flame, but he had died, he was killed, and I don't exactly know if it was murder or like some kind of war, but he died a death, like some kind of murder. And we were living a little bit outside of the village. There was like a lake and a house, and the woods were right there, because he was working in the woods. He had like a job where he was working in the woods, whatever that was. And because I didn't see the entire, like, I just saw my final moment in that life. So I had a little baby, and my husband had died either very shortly before the baby was born or very shortly afterwards, and it was winter, and it was his job to provide, but he was gone, and nobody in the villages like provided for me. Like nobody had food left, and he couldn't provide, he was gone, so I didn't have enough, nobody helped me, so I was basically starving, and I didn't produce enough milk for my baby. So I was in that final moment, I saw myself sitting in that chair. I was sitting in a chair in my little hut. It was dark, there was no fire anymore, I didn't have any wood anymore, and that little baby was dying in my arms. And it was past that moment of grief or anger or desperation. It was just like, yeah, it's gonna happen, there's nothing I can do, resignation, like it's gonna happen. So I had my baby in my arm, and I felt it taking its last breath, and when it did, I got up and I held my baby close, and I walked into that lake and I drowned. And why did I connect to that? I say I did, but it wasn't me, it was another stream of consciousness that happened to. But in that meditation it was me, because I had a specific answer, a question to the universe, like, why do I have this specific thing happening in my life? And the universe will show you a past life, if that's something you resonate with, to show you something that happened to another soul that you are somewhat connected with, and because you have similar energy within yourself, in order to dissolve that energy. And for the record, I never lost a baby in this life. I was never pregnant, so that is not what happened. I was like the loss of my split twin, when you have that immense grief of them. Or I saw another meditation, basically another like download, where I saw him hanging in a tree, and I found his body. So when you're dealing with the split twin separation, that is extremely painful, and you try to heal it and you try to meditate, and you will get shown images of something that happened to another soul. It feels like your own, because it will show you what your subconscious fear is, the loss, losing him to death, taking on the energy of other women that have experienced losing their love to death and suicide, because again, that was my intense fear. So when you tap into a past life, you tap into another stream of consciousness that made a specific experience in that specific timeline. There's other timelines where that didn't happen to them, but you connect with that in order to heal it, because it is an aspect of yourself, and it could be an aspect maybe that you have experienced another timeline where you have lost that specific person to death. Because I was scared of losing my split twin flame to suicide, to death. And since I could very vividly imagine it, or get into the feeling, into the fear, I'm pretty sure that did happen in another timeline. But then it is not really me, because there is, like, everything is me. And even though there is multiple versions of me, there is only one me that exists in this right now. Can you follow? There's different me, but then there's only one me, because every choice I made put me onto this timeline where I am right now. I can't constantly grow into other timelines. So if I jump to another timeline, then I will no longer be this me. I will be another me. Because there's multiple me's. But then again, there is only one that is in the exact frequency that I am right now. It's a bit tricky, do you understand? So when we change timelines, we get into another version, into another body of ourselves, which also can indicate why we can heal injuries, like all of a sudden. We can heal diseases all of a sudden. That is when you have learned about people like those miracle healings. What happened is they manifested to jump consciously or subconsciously to change to another timeline where that specific issue was no longer an issue. That person never had that specific disease or chronic pain or whatever. And of course you will still have the memory of being the person you used to have that, and the version of you, the you are right now will always have that. If it's a chronic thing, in that particular timeline, that person will always have that. But when you change to a timeline, you can be the person who overcomes that, who doesn't have that anymore. And you will no longer be connected to that stream of consciousness of you that had that specific thing that you don't have anymore. Make sense? So when we shift timelines, we still are us, but then at the same time we are not. We are another version of ourselves, and it could be an evolved version, a higher timeline, or when we get into fear aspects, of course it could go the other way around, that we are manifesting experiences we don't want to manifest consciously, but we still manifest them because in that specific timeline that always existed. In my head it makes total sense what I'm saying, but sometimes I'm wondering, do you get the message out there clear? And it just reminded me, I wanted to make a video for a while about how we can instantly heal stuff, and I think that's the one I'm going to do next. So stay tuned, subscribe. I don't know in which order I'm going to publish the videos I'm recording. I'm recording several a day, and I don't know, but there will be a video about, in my opinion, scientific, and that's the thing, scientific proof why we can heal things like instantly from 1 second to the other. And again, scientific medical proof. And it's not like miracle healings. No, I'm going to give you a very good example that I have no idea why it's not out there right now. It should be out there, but then doctors wouldn't make any money, and the state would make less money from medicine, taxes and stuff. Big industry, of course. So stay tuned. Anyway, so different, past lives. Again, there is no past lives. There is no time, so there is no past lives. There is just other stream of consciousness that are experiencing that right now. There is stream of consciousness that are experiencing the 15th century right now. There's other stream of consciousnesses that experience 3,000 years for us right now at this exact time. Like right now, it's happening right now. So if all is right now, then of course there is no past lives. It's just it's another stream of consciousness that you are connected with, because you are on a very similar frequency, you vibrate similar, you resonate with that exactly stream of consciousness, that exact stream of consciousness I meant to say. And that is of course why you can connect to the Akashic records and pull out information that you would translate as your own, like in my meditation, like seeing him hanging or drowning myself. That happened to another person, not me. Still, I received that image and that feeling, and I felt myself drowning. I literally felt it while I was in meditation. I felt it. I felt that water. I felt it getting into my lungs. I felt the grief of having my dead child pressed against my body. I felt it very vividly. However, it was not me. Even, again, if I change to another timeline, I'm no longer this version of me again. I was this version, but then I was not, because I was always the other version as well. It's a bit complicated. I feel I've ended that video about past life karma too soon. Oh my god. I think I completely lost it. So let's go back to that video. How to clear all past life karma. First of all, there is no past life, so you don't have to heal past life karma. Okay. However, as I tried to explain in my video, we do come here connected to specific energies, and that are connected to other souls, other stream of consciousness that make a specific experience, and we want to take on that experience, that energy, in order to ascend. Okay, so how do you heal past life karma? There is no past life karma. However, when we talk about past lives, what I always tell my clients is that when you didn't heal something from a past life, let's say a loss, you would take that topic into the early childhood. You know, I always explain it like a computer program. You would experience loss in your childhood, and loss doesn't have to be something like death of a parent, but it could be most likely connected to mom, and it could be your mom not being very emotional. So there was a loss in connection because she didn't carry you a lot, and you were like put into the how do you call it, the trolley all day, and you know, there was not this connection that you craved. Maybe she was not a very emotional or warm or kind person. Maybe she had to work a lot and she wasn't there for you. Maybe you were separated because one of you had to go to a hospital for a while, or the system took you out of the family for a while. That could be loss of mom. Loss of mom could be siblings, and your mom didn't have the attention on you all the time because you had like a sibling that needed a lot of time and attention as well. So all of that could come, like, how do you say, all of that could create that feeling of loss. And then when we're in abandonment, and then when we're adults, that program is running, and we always attract people who ghost us or who are not emotionally available, because that is connected to mom. If, let's say, in a past life, and again past life, you drowned, then you probably would bring it into early childhood. You maybe not even remember where there was like this incident where you swallowed too much water It doesn't have to be the ocean. It could be like a bathtub that you all of a sudden, maybe your parents just let go and you got into the water, and that could create some kind of trauma that when you're adults, you don't like water. Or as in a past life you were hanged and you don't like, for example, I can't even wear like turtlenecks. I don't like things touching my neck. But then again, there is no past life, so it is something you brought into this life. It could be some kind of a phobia as well, of course, even though it doesn't have to be. Some kind of phobias are more likely in our DNA, for example. It would make sense to be scared of a snake because that could kill you, right? So there is phobias that would make sense, and that have nothing to do that you were killed by a snake in a past life, for example. But again, when we just want to hold on the concept of past lives, then whatever it is that you did not heal in a past life, you brought into your early childhood. So when you want to heal and you still think you have past life karma, check your inner childhood, check your connection to mom, to dad. Daddy issues would most likely play out in not getting the job you want, or your boss not treating, your colleagues not treating you well, or you're not getting paid what you're worth. That would more likely have to do with your father issues. Of course, if your father died as a child, even though relationship issues are connected to mom, like a loss, like somebody died, of course that can trigger that loss as well as an early child, that you later on may attract in your life by people not being there. But it doesn't have to be. For example, I mean, my grandma lost her father, I think, when she was 13, and she found my grandfather, they met when she was 20, so she didn't have that kind of she must have healed that issue before she met him, because we must have to heal that kind of stuff. So if you want to heal past life trauma, karma, you check out your early childhood. How was it? How was your connection to your parents? Has there any traumatic situation happened? Did you almost die in a certain situation, or had an accident, or whatever it is? And if you want to heal past life trauma, again, past life, you see if there's like a red thread in your life. If you have had something that's been coming up again and again and again and again, maybe throughout all of your workplaces or relationships. However, it doesn't have to be all of them. I do have some clients that have very healthy relationships, and then they just didn't, some split as friends, for example, and then in another relationship, like later on, they were what is the word? They were confronted with their childhood issues, So for some souls, it's not a red thread throughout all their life. You could have had a happy relationships afterwards, or whatever the topic is, and then it switched. Because I always tell my clients, sometimes it's that your soul needs to have like a certain level of maturity. I'm not saying soul is the wrong word, because the soul is always mature. Let's say the your mind must have reached a certain level of maturity, and then when that part of you is like, okay, now I'm ready, then you may attract somebody who triggers that old stuff. Okay, so it must not have it is possible that it's not like happened throughout your entire life. Usually it did, but for some people it is an issue later on, okay, because they were not ready to do that earlier, so they could make beautiful experiences, and then all of a sudden it switched. That's definitely possible. So you will see where's the red thread in your life, what is the topic that's going on, and then you try to find the issue in your childhood, and you heal that, you revise that, you do your Ho'oponopono, your meditation, whatever it is, your affirmations, and that is what you heal. And then you will heal that karma, that inner imbalance, because again, it's not connected to your past life. It's a stream of consciousness you're connected to that has a similar frequency, and it's not your job to heal that. You just check out your early childhood, because again, everything that was a past life issue, you would get into your early childhood. And you always also see that in your south nodes. So if you're interested in astrology, if not, you can find your free chart and you just check the south node where it is, and then you can Google yourself, okay, I have my south node in that sign and that house. Don't neglect the house, because the house is very important in south nodes, because a south node would be like 1.5 years in one sign. So you need to check both, because technically the south node is talking about karma and past lives, and it is telling you what you brought into this life. And again, you will have seen that in your early childhood. So the south node can talk about past lives, but it will most definitely talk about your early childhood. And then when you read about that, that may trigger you like, oh yeah, I remember, okay, that was an issue, oh my god, it was like that. And then you can heal that specific topic. Otherwise, when you have something in your 8th house, or you have like Pluto connection, check where your Pluto is and what house, because that can also connect to past life stuff. So if you have something in your 8th house, Google what does it mean to have XYZ in the 8th house, or what does it mean to have Pluto in Aries, Taurus, Gemini, wherever it is, because again, Pluto can talk about that stuff as well. Okay, also if you have Pluto in a conjunction or in a connection to, for example, Venus, you can Google that, and maybe that can give you some hints of where your topics may be. Okay, so don't worry about your past life. Honestly, check your early childhood, because that's where it is going to be hidden, and it can be something that can have happened early on, like, you know, when you're like 1 year old and you don't remember it. So if you have a good connection to your mom, maybe you can ask her. If not, check the astrology, because that may give you a hint. And when you read that, see if it's if there's some kind of feeling inside of you, because your soul will tell you like, yeah, no, that's not it, or you may have a reaction, and that could tell you, you know, spot on, bullseye, and then you know what to do. Yeah, as you can tell, I'm all over the place with this video, so there is another layer, another insertion in this video. We're still talking about how to instantly releasing past life karma, and another important factor is to stop telling yourself you have past life karma, because we do create, we do manifest, our desires manifest, okay? And if you think about past life karma, then again, you're not creating past life karma in itself, but you may attract other stream of consciousness that are going through something similar than you've been going through, or some energy you possess, and then you have to clear even more, because you keep attracting more of that past life karma energy, because the universe will always prove you right. So if you talk about my past life karma, then again, this is what you're manifesting. You are manifesting, again, not that something happened to you in a past life, we already established that, but you would keep on connecting to other stream of consciousness that have unhealed stuff, you know, and then you would have to work through more and more and more and more and more. So another affirmation you could use, or another belief, would be, I'm done with my karma. I am okay, if you still have unhealed childhood issues, of course, it's not that easy, okay? We're not talking about trying to bypass doing your shadow work when it comes to your childhood. Not a good idea. It will come back and bite you in the butt eventually. We're talking about the belief of having past life karma, because again, we manifest everything. And if you constantly think about past life karma, that is what the universe will give you. You are ordering more oppressed stuff, or you are attracting more stuff that needs to be healed. And yeah, don't do that. Just don't do that. That's why I made this video, to basically show you it's the best thing you can do is to drop that inner belief that there is past life karma to begin with, because there is no past life karma. You know, there is something that would play out we can have the experience of past lives. When we, for example, go into meditation and we connect to other stream of consciousnesses, then it will feel like this experience is real for us, and it's a real experience. It's a real experience for another stream of consciousness that we are connected to, because in the end we are all one. So it's definitely a real experience. But again, don't attract more and more and more and more like this into your life, because then if you believe you have past life karma, then you're staying in a timeline where we always have to clear more stuff, and there's more and more piling on to it, or that stuff you have is getting bigger instead of smaller. So drop that belief of having past life karma, okay? Try another belief. For example, I don't know, I can't think of anything, like a blank page, I am a blank page. Or if you still want to hold on to past life karma, I have already healed past life karma, and take care of these childhood things. And again, also, when we talk about working on yourself, doing shadow work is important, but don't talk about yourself as the person like, oh, there's so much to do. I have clients who do that. They say, oh God, there's so much to do. And I say, don't tell yourself. Or they say stuff like, oh my God, that's going to take forever. And I'm saying, stop. You're manifesting it to take a long time. Don't do that. I wouldn't recommend to say, okay, I'm manifesting, it has to be done in 3 months, because that is something that comes out of the ego, your higher self. It takes the time it takes, okay? And the more you don't just work on your stuff, that's one step, but the other one is do stuff that is heightening your energy. Have fun, go out, treat yourself. Everything you do for yourself that is uplifting you will eventually take you a step forward on your journey as well, and it could be like a divine counterpart journey, or it could be just like your own spiritual development journey, where we want to develop. So try to check the mental diet, check the way you are talking or thinking about stuff. And again, we don't want to manifest it's going to take forever. You can have another affirmation like, it's getting better every day, and even that is not the best affirmation. It is when you can't tell yourself that I am healed. If it's hard for you to get into that belief, like you already have it, then you can start by getting into like using affirmations, getting better every day and every day and every day. And then one day you will get into the energy where you can believe, now I can imagine it to be done, and then you can take that step and change the affirmation in, I am healed, I am at peace with my past, Another thing to heal karma, like instantly, is to remind yourself that you are not a victim. Nobody ever did anything to you. We attract things to us, okay? We're the magnet. And you say, but that thing happened to me as a child and children are innocent. Absolutely, but your soul is not a child, okay? So your soul will, as I said before, choose some things, let's say dark energy. By dark, I don't mean evil, I mean something unhealed, in order to clear it, in order to evolve. When you read Neil Donald Walsh's Conversation with God, there is this passage that says, like, in order to find who you are, you have to be confronted with what you are not. And for example, how would you know that you are above average fast if people around you are not slower? If you're above average fast, but everybody in that area you grew up with is above average fast and they're just as fast as you are, then you don't see that you're especially fast. Or if you're highly intelligent, for example, if you are in a school where everybody is highly intelligent, you don't perceive yourself as maybe highly intelligent because you're just average in that specific surroundings. So in order to know that you're highly intelligent, you would have to be confronted with people who are not. In order to know that you are rich or poor, you have to be confronted with the opposite. In order to know that you are pure love, you have to be confronted with the opposite, so you can discover, yes, I am true love. And one thing is, We in childhood often experience the opposite of what our soul wants to achieve. So if you had a very difficult childhood where you didn't get any love, then that is because your soul, your template, you chose to be loved way above average, to have a great love in your life, and not just like, I don't want to talk it down because love is always good, but have that grand romance story if that's what you want. But again, be careful if you are in some kind of toxic relationship and you put someone on a pedestal. I'm not talking about that person. Okay, that person may be important to trigger stuff that is in you to prepare you for that great love, because in order to attract the love, the big one, you have to have that stuff healed. Or maybe you attract someone who is not toxic, who maybe ghosting you if you have abandonment issues, yes, but they don't abuse you physically, mentally. Very important. If there's abuse, it's not a divine counterpart. Very important. I know I repeat myself all the time, but it's so important for me to know, because so many people are trapped in something that is not divine energy and call it a twin flame, and that couldn't be further from the truth. Okay, there is no violent behavior in any way in a true divine connection. Okay, a catalyst could do that. So once you have cleared your shadows, you are going to attract the opposite. So another example is many very rich people. Some were born rich, and then that's because their soul chose to make that experience of being born rich. When we talk about past lives, you could say, yeah, maybe they already accumulated richness in a past life and just want to enjoy it this time. But again, we're dropping the paradigm of past lives. It is something, it's a template their soul chose to make this experience. But many people who are very rich, for example, Dean Graziosi, Tony Robbins, for example, Oprah, I believe as well, they would have experienced being very poor. They have experienced the complete opposite. Why? Because in the lack of that, they manifested so much wealth. Abraham Hicks would say to put it into the vortex. You experienced being poor and you want to be rich, so that is in your vortex. That is like what you order from the universe, but you have to get into the receiving mode. And that is why some people who have, for example, experienced abuse in childhood never attract their true love, because they never get over that. Okay, they have this deep mistrust towards other people, and so I have the image right now, like when you jump on a trampoline, you go down, and the further you go down, the higher you can go up. But some people, they don't really get that jump, they tumble and fall down. And that is when you, for example, were born poor and you put all of that stuff in your vortex, you manifested the riches. However, you never got into the receiving mode, because you never got out of that lack mentality of not having it, and being stuck and seeing yourself as the victim. And then, of course, you have this immense possibility, even more than a person who was born average, rich, like middle class. The poor person energetically has it easier to manifest the extreme wealth. And I know it sounds weird, but energetically it's true, because they have a stronger desire, which means it's a stronger call to the universe. That's what I want. But again, however, if they never get out of this lack mentality of not having it, they won't open like the gate in order to get to that timeline. They won't be able to do it. Or those who have been abused, for example, and they want that true love where they're hugged and nurtured and loved, they have to heal those old issues, because we never attract a soulmate in order to fill our void. We have to do that ourselves. They come to multiply everything we have achieved. We have to be in that happy space before they come, and then we can attract them. So somebody who hasn't had that love in childhood, again, it can go both ways. Those ones, they never make it out of that energy, and they won't ever get it. And that's up to them, because everybody gets to choose, even if they don't know about spirituality. Everybody can say, yeah, I'll go get help, and I'll go to counseling, for example. I go to therapy to work on that stuff. That's free for everyone. Everybody can do that, but some people don't choose to do that. Okay, and that's on them. It sounds harsh, but sorry, it's true. It's on them. Others, however, they do the work and then they reach the highest destination. So if you have, for example, been abused as a child, and that doesn't have to be like sexually or physically, it could be abuse, would also be like not getting any recognition or love, that could be labeled as abuse as well. You were never praised, you never received that love, then you have your soul called out, like, I want to experience that. So you have, again, the ability to attract someone who's absolutely positively crazy about you, and to shower you with all of the affection that you did not get as a child. But again, you have to heal that wound first in order to really attract that. Okay? Again, it has nothing to do with past lives. It is oppressed childhood stuff, and it just sometimes it gets translated as past life stuff for us to understand it better. So if you would do a meditation, it for example, it could be that something bad happens to you in this life and you kind of completely oppressed it. But still, when you meditate, your soul wants to show you that. And instead of showing you what really happened to you in this life, and again, we can argue about what does really happen mean, but we just use these words. Instead of showing you that, they would like translate it by showing you something similar that happened to another stream of consciousness, another soul, and you would like translate it like, this happened to me in my past life, which is not true, but it's still helpful, because it would still show you, okay, there is an issue when it comes to this specific topic in my life. So if you want to work on past lives, you can do that. And I myself, when I was reading cards, I'm still reading cards, for a while I really focused on that. So most of my clients called me to look into past lives, past life connections, and then when I told them about what I got energetically, then they were like, oh yeah, right, it's like in this life as well. But again, it's you don't have to clear the past life. It's just one way to show you an energy that you are confronted with in this life in order to heal it and clear it. So